Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie discussion in the multiverse. I am your host, Adam Portress, and I'm joined by sweet Shanza Kovacs from the internet.
The lady from The Artist is now Lois Lane.
And of course, Bruce Lacey.
I'm a prickly pear, and Superman couldn't have been over 13 when those boys were born.
I don't know how any of that science works, but we're going to get into it. Maybe Kryptonian magic. That seems to be a theme for everything. Just throw the word magic into it, and that really just explains everything right in a nice little bundle. You just go,
kind of like
magic.
Kind of like when Mork from Mork laid an egg and it hatched, and it was Jonathan Winters.
As it's happened, it's bound to happen every now and then. You just have to let it go. Oh, that's how you get Jonathan Winters in your house.
Well worth the effort.
Well, we are taking a look at the pilot episode of the new show on CW, Superman and Lois. No more Lois and Clark. No, sir. We're going after the people that really matter. Superman and Lois. Which is sure, why not? But does this new interpretation, this new telling of the story of Superman in a new chapter in his life or some such nonsense, does it hold up? We'll find out all that kind of good stuff. That's available on CW right now, everybody. But again, this is our giant big thank you month because you guys over there at patreon.com/HMP. First and foremost, thank you. It is the top of the month for us. All the checks cleared. We want to say thank you. Thank you to everybody who supports us over, especially let's get our top donors here out of the way. Over the icon level, again, coming in, oh my word, Sir Derek, the Night Bard, and the Long Hauler, you guys coming in at that icon $40 level, man, we can't, it just blows my mind. Thank you guys so much for that. And of course, our executive producers coming in at the $20 level. We've got our boy Curvaceous, Spider Z, Matt and Alex as well. Boys, thank you for all of your welcomed support over these here. For some of these guys, actually, years. You can you can really go through and see how much. And you got first of all, thank you from the bottom of my heart to all of you guys. It's really awesome. And we've got a new little change here as well. Jessica. Hold on. I've got to give her proper thing. Hold on here. Working on a night cheese. Is that good?
No, it's terrible. You should use the one from 30 Rock.
But it doesn't say night cheese.
Yes, it does.
It does say night cheese.
Oh. It literally is Liz Lemon going, working on the night cheese.
All right, we'll get that. We'll get that on next time. I pulled it out of my butt in there in the last 15. Let's be honest, 5 minutes before the show started.
Wow, I never would have guessed that.
I know you think that took forever, and it was a long thing, but no, it was real super quick. But Jessica wrote in here, just wanted to say thank you for the joy that your podcast... Oh, because she upgraded from $5 a month to $15 a month.
Woohoo!
So she wrote us a note here. Just wanted to say thank you for the joy your podcast gives me. I've been going through a rough time, and listening to your podcast has been a bright spot. I've listened to all the podcasts posted in the Patreon feed. Also, thanks for the great nickname. I'm also honored to be the only patron to have a theme song. See, I even put that in there. Adam, just wanted to say I hope that you get that job that you're looking for. Fingers crossed for you. Thanks again. That is from Night Cheese. Thank you, Night Cheese. And here's the best part about that is remember when we said that you can call somebody out? She's done that. And Jessica says that she wants to call out her friend Lauren as a slacker.
You're a slacker.
All right. So Lauren, whenever you can come on patreon.com/HMP, she says she knows Lauren listens to the show, but doesn't support over at Patreon. Lauren, you can support us over at Patreon and get that slacker reversed. And if you, too, would like to call your friend out as a slacker, patreon.com/HMP. We really appreciate that, and we appreciate all of you that support us over at patreon.com/HMP. Again, pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone, you know the whole deal. Let's get...
On my night cheese.
Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate that.
That was not Bruce.
What? Wait a minute. You're trying to tell me that somehow, some way,
Sweet Shanzi did it.
Sweet Shanzi added in extra audio into this thing? Oh, my word.
That's right. Adding value for value, baby.
Oh, man, and to think this is somebody's first episode.
It took so long to get him on board, but now that he's finally on board, we're all better for it. So let's get into it. Here is the trailer for Superman and Lois.
Our dad told us all these stories about growing up here.
Tell you it sucks?
Actually, I think he kind of loved it.
We came here as a family.
It's too dangerous for them to know.
It's more dangerous if they don't.
You're Superman? No, we've seen Superman before. We've seen him.
You told the boys you're Superman.
Couldn't lie to them anymore. This is gonna keep my family together.
Clark, it's gonna tear it apart.
All the times you were gone, you lied to me. You both did.
I can't just abandon the world.
The world will always need Superman. Right now, this family needs you more.
Superman and Lois, 2-hour premiere event, Tuesday, February 23rd.
Alrighty, that was the trailer for Superman and Lois. We're talking about that pilot episode. Let's get down to it.
It's time for Bruce's Comic Book Connection.
I don't know how he's going to tie Superman into some sort of comic book, but we'll give him a shot.
Well, the Super Sons are a pair of fictional characters appearing in American comic books published by DC Comics. The characters were created by Bob Haney and Dick Dillon and first appeared in World's Finest Comics number 215 in January 1973. The characters were featured in stories about the sons of Superman and Batman. In 2017, DC Comics relaunched a Super Sons monthly comic book series, this time featuring new versions of the characters, going by the name Superboy, of course, being Jonathan Kent, the son of Superman and Lois Lane, and Robin, Damian Wayne, the son of Batman and Talia al Ghul. But originally, the Super Sons were college-aged versions of their fathers, named Clark Kent Jr. and Bruce Wayne Jr., because people just can't help but be fixated with the fictional sons of fictional characters like King Kong Jr., who I always thought should be called Prince Kong, by the way, or Godzuki or Manila or whatever you want to call Godzilla's son. There was even young Frankenstein, and I seem to remember a terrible cartoon called James Bond Jr. Unfortunately, my plans for a musical stage production called John Wick Jr. fell through. But Superman and Lois are bringing the progeny back with a version of Super Sons that seems to squeeze Batman out of the multi-generational crime-fighting shenanigans. So I could go on and just list a bunch of sons from comic books, or I could just cut this week's connection a little short. I already know what Sean's vote is, so...
Keep going. No, I'm just kidding. So did you guys, did you have any expectations of this show going in? Because I think I knew the star because I'd seen pictures of him and stuff throughout some of the other CW things that he's been involved in, because this is not his first outing as Superman.
Yeah, he's shown up as Superman a couple of times, so I was pretty familiar with Tyler Hoechlin. I did not expect him to have two 20-year-old sons pretending to be 16.
Yeah, it seems a little odd. I don't know how exactly all that works out.
like I feel like they had a baby in their arms steering the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover like a year and a half, 2 years ago. So that's why it was kind of weird to say. I was thinking we were going to have, I don't know, maybe a precocious 6-year-old kid running around.
This is way better. What are you talking about?
I'm not saying it's not better. It's just not what I was expecting. He was asking about expectations. I've also kind of grown familiar with the CW's superhero pattern to the point where it mostly doesn't interest me that much anymore. So I guess my expectation was for something kind of, paint by numbers, a little bland, not that different from what else is out there already. And in that part, I sort of feel like my expectations were met. I don't know if you guys have strong feelings in the other direction.
To answer Adam's question, I went into this with absolutely no expectations. I had seen Tyler Hoechlin before as Superman, and a couple of things here and there that because he's CW's Superman, and I think I saw him in Supergirl or something once or twice. And so I really didn't have anything going into it. I was kind of like you, Bruce. I know what CW is going to give me. The difference here, though, in my opinion, is that I really, really like Tyler Hoechlin as Superman. He's probably the best Superman we're going to get for many years to come, is my guess. And the reason why is because there is something very joyful about him that has been sorely lacking in Superman movies.
I'll say am I interrupting you? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'll say that he's surprisingly good as Superman, because when I first heard the casting, it seemed like odd casting 3-4 years ago. He was Teen Wolf or in Teen Wolf or something like that on MTV, so I didn't really know him. But yeah, surprisingly, I like the guy.
I think
he's great.
He's a good-looking guy.
Ahead,
he's a good-looking guy, and you're right. I think, Sean, you're dead on here, and it's kind of the thing that I caught too. There is a joy about him. When you see that, he smiles a lot and you feel it. It feels like he's getting real joy out of this, and that's what the character is feeling. You can tell, you can read it on his face the entire time. And I think being able to kind of see that, especially in a character that over many years, it seems, has been in so many ways dehumanized because he is, a god essentially, that it's nice to have a Superman / Clark Kent that feels like that every man, to a degree, of course, but that every man that he's kind of supposed to, represent, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, there's another thing about him that that he's portrayed in the show that I find interesting, which is that, he is of average intelligence, meaning he's not stupid, but he's also not super smart. Like with the nuclear reactor going up and he has to fix it himself, he knows a little bit about it, but like, it's not like he's, like he's going to miraculously know how a nuclear reactor works. Like like he overhears what they say that it needs, and he goes and does that thing. And it's very clever. I mean, it's a clever way to do it. And I like that he doesn't, like, he's not the perfect dad, and he's also not the perfect husband. And, all of these things make for a very interesting Superman for a change. I've only seen the pilot. I haven't watched any further. And that's on purpose, because with a pilot episode, as we found so many times on this show, which is that usually the pilot episode is the thing that they dump all the money into. And then for the rest of the season, you're basically coasting. And so I just wanted to see this for what they were intended it to be. And then I'll probably watch the second episode later. But I really like Superman in this. I think that there's the other thing with him too, where he's a very angled man. Like, his face has many different angles to it. And so does Lois, the actress who plays Lois. And so everything almost looks like it's drawn, but it's real people.
I didn't make that connection, but it does kind of look like, here in the last couple of years, John Romita Jr. has been drawing the Superman comic, and he does have like some angular work that he does, and I'm seeing it now. It makes sense.
Romita Jr. has angular work. That doesn't sound like John Romita Jr. that I know. I love that guy though. I'm not crapping on him at all.
I love John Romita Jr., but his career's had 2 stages.
Yes.
I love you're right. I think the special effects in this one were quite good. It seemed like we were going to a much higher caliber of special effect and stuff than we're used to seeing in a lot of CW shows, which, let's be honest, some of those special effects can be quite laughable. I think these were fairly top notch.
They're okay.
Yeah.
I mean, for a show on, network television, if you will.
And something that the CW has always done well that sometimes their cinematic equivalent doesn't is they absolutely give fan service, and they tip their hat. I mean, they bring in John Wesley Shipp, the 90s Flash, into the Flash. They bring in Helen Slater into Supergirl. They do that sort of thing. And here what they've done is, they've recreated the cover to Action Comics #1 with the green car and Superman kind of lifting it in the same pose and everything. They bring in the Max Fleischer cartoon version of the costume that he's wearing in that scene. So they're already right off the bat doing what I expect the CW to do, which is reward me for liking lots of stuff.
And I'll say this, as far as a superhero show that goes back and deals with a story that we've known time in memoriam, they do it in a good fashion. It doesn't take too long to get through it. We get the feel and everything. They don't languish too long in the whole, like he's the son of Krypton and blah blah blah. We don't have to go through that, and it's so refreshing to just at least getting the nice. It almost feels like a previously on Superman, and just gives you that last little bit, and then we join up with the program proper.
They totally jetpack through the opening so that you don't have to deal with all of that crap that you usually have to deal with Superman or Batman, where it's always someone might not know his origin. You know what? We're just going to burn through that. And I very much like that part. Now, I got to ask you guys a question, because I ask it whenever we have an icon of superheroes, which is, do you guys have a favorite moment on this episode? Do you have a favorite, where they're like, you know what, that was a really great touch?
I mean, for me, it's probably just there in the very beginning when he's got the Max Fleischer costume.
Well, the reason why I bring it up is because that's my favorite moment. Also, where he helps he saves the kid from getting crushed. And then the kid goes, cool costume. And he turns to the kid and says, thanks, my mom made it for me.
Yeah.
With this gigantic,
that is awesome. Yes.
1,000-watt smile on his face. And it's infectious, and he flies away. And it is the moment on the show where I was like, well, I'm all in on this Superman. That's literally the moment,
because you feel Superman's having fun, and God knows if he were Superman, it would be pretty fun to fly around and do stuff like that.
You have to admit, Sean, it would have been a little bit better if that kid would have said, man, I got to get me some of those sick threads or whatever it was that guy said in the Superman movie.
Oh, well, the original Superman movie, the dude says, say, Jack, that's a bad outfit.
Yeah, that's it. That's the quote.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did get somebody pouring out a drink going, no more of this for me.
Well, that's
or the
Superman
kid runs
2.
to tell his mom and she starts beating him.
We got to get all the cliches in.
But because when it comes to these DC icons, they do that fairly well a lot, even in movies that aren't great. Wonder Woman 1984 is not a great movie, but there is that great moment when she saves the kid and she gives her the finger to the mouth, shh, that kind of thing. And then winks at her and takes off. That is the best moment in that movie.
Didn't hurt that little girl was just adorable. She looked like a 40-year-old little lady. Oh my God, it was so cute. I just wanted to take that kid home. She was so cute.
So cute. But I mean, that is basically, I'm waiting for those moments from DC now, because they seem to have learned in the last couple of years, our characters are completely unlikable. So let's have a moment where hey, isn't this guy pretty cool? This is why he's been famous for 75 years,
Yeah.
No, we just need him punching people with a scowl on his face. That's what people want. Or do this.
And also, I certainly will have some things I don't like about this show, but I do want to accentuate the positive. They took a character that has had so many stories told, and everything has been trod, retrod, tri-trod, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if anybody from DC's been in more cartoons and adaptations than Superman. He may even have been in more than Batman, maybe not. But they managed to take this well-known property and tell a new story without it feeling like they're missing the point of who Superman is. Do you follow me on what I'm trying to get at there?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because we're going to the farm, and it's kind of back to it's the welcome back Frank of Superman.
It's not like they said, okay, everybody knows about Superman, so our version, he doesn't fly, he rides a motorcycle and he's got a beard. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no, but it brings it back to those nice essential elements, and to me, it gets back to really what I think ultimately the heart of what I think of as Superman as a character. Because when we hear this idea of them coming back, moving back to the farm on Smallville and everything, for where he is in his life right now, how this show presents, it feels like something that Superman would want to do, is to realize, hey, I still need to be Superman. He's not hanging up the cape or anything, but he also realizes, look, I got fired from my job. We've got nothing else to do. Let's go back and kind of get those, the just small town roots where I came from. So maybe my kids can, grow up to be normal.
Yeah, but I kind of feel like most versions of Lois Lane would put up a little more of a fight about leaving. She's still got her career and her roots in Metropolis.
That said, because as in all forms of everything with Lois ever, is she's the best reporter of all time. She's the most awesome of all time. And she still works for a newspaper, and she can be gone for a couple days and no one really, bats too much of an eye. It's always so strange and bizarre to me. I've never fully I guess embraced Lois Lane as a character, just because, at least in live action form. I'll put it to you that way, because I never really buy it. And sometimes they go in that way, Bruce, where they almost try to make her too tough to where I don't need her to be a damsel in distress, mind you. But sometimes it's always just like, no, I'm the tough lady, and the tough ladies never back down. And I don't know, sometimes, why is she pairing up with Superman at that point,
Before you keep digging yourself deeper into that hole,
hey,
Adam,
my whole
I think that well, that's what I'm saying, is that they get it right on this show, Lois, where Lois, you can see the wheels turning in this actress's face when she's figuring stuff out, which is very interesting. And they don't play her like fake tough, it's not like the Spice Girls version of Lois Lane, it's like she's just really bloody smart. And not only is she smart, but the kid is smart also, and he gets it from her. And you can see, and you see him doing the same thing that she does. It's really clever, and it's a really nice touch in this show where, she's tough, but she's mentally tough. She's not going to try to take out, this Captain Luther character or whoever he is. She's just really smart.
And also as a person, I cut my teeth on Margot Kidder as Lois Lane. So there is no what do I want from Lois? What do I think of Lois? I mean, my life had no Lois Lane, then it had Margot Kidder, who just defined who Lois Lane is, for better, for worse. So this Lois Lane is the first one post Kidder that I kind of really buy into. Like you already mentioned, the face is a little angular. I'm trying to think of the right way to say it. Sort of, Margot Kidder wasn't necessarily conventionally attractive by Hollywood standards, and I kind of thought that made that character work because it shows the small town guy Superman isn't just running out for the supermodel. He in this day and age of fame, he could easily probably just kind of pick his target and have that person as his romantic interest. It's something about the Smallville part of it seems sincere there. And then, when they go and cast it with more hubba factor and some of the people that have played Lois Lane post Margot Kidder, I like this Lois Lane. There's something about her that's attractive, but not conventionally attractive. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Not sexualized Lois Lane. Yeah.
She's got a little bit of an Emma Roberts vibe to her, but not exactly. Nobody's going to mistake her for Emma Roberts.
But like Sean said, it's not that she feels like she's, which she has been portrayed as sometimes, is overpowering or just I'm the one who, she does feel like she's trying to figure things out, like she's trying to be, get this, a reporter. So it feels like she's going through and you feel those thoughts in her head of going well, if this, then that. Well, what about this? She's playing that game of chess. And that's what I like about it.
Well, that's the other thing about the show is that the performances by our four leads here are fairly exceptional for the material that's been given to them. I think Superman is Superman. He's a 1,000-watt bulb. He's at this point now, he's going to have to do something terrible for me to hate him. But when it comes to Bitsy Tulloch, she's like, you can see what that character is thinking without that character speaking. You could watch the show on mute and you know what's going on with that character. And that is a performance that you're not going to get very often from someone who's playing Lois Lane. And think of all the terrible Lois Lanes that we've gotten over the years. And I'm not even talking about the most recent one. Like, I know that she has her detractors. I think she's fine. I just don't think that she is as good in that role as someone else could have been. And for this Lois Lane, this is the lady where I'm just like, well, you're going to have to do a whole lot of running in order to catch up to this girl, because she's doing a tremendous job being Lois. And she's kind of the pivotal piece to the show, because if Lois doesn't work, it doesn't matter how great Superman is. The show's just going to collapse in on itself. And, you know, she's very, very good as Lois.
And she's 40 years old. I mean, it's kind of cool to see CW having people out of their 20s in a key role without them specifically being like the old person.
You know, to give you an example of just how long Elizabeth Tulloch or Bitsy Tulloch has been in the business for, one of her jobs was in 2002. She was a location researcher for Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
What?
That's really cool.
True. Isn't that crazy?
That is.
And also to think about it, she's pretty young when that was going on too. I mean, all things considered.
She's in her 20s.
And, you know, just first off, Berlanti deserves some credit for not following maybe the more negative habits that Hollywood likes to follow with casting. So, you know, it shouldn't come as a surprise. But casting a Lois Lane that's 7 years older than Superman, I just think that's absolutely the opposite of what Hollywood usually does when they show us like Liam Neeson and his wife as a 31-year-old, you know?
Well, this show, though, also depends on working for women. And, you know, they are tragically not being being written to on a lot of superhero properties.
And I don't know from nothing, but I would think that a lot of these CW shows, just because of the bent and nature of them a lot, appeal to women a lot more than, you know, your average comic book, you know, property type thing does, between like, you know, what's it called, Riverdale and all that kind of stuff. So they're starting to make things that will cross the gap of not just dudes liking it, but ladies are find a lot to enjoy out of these things as well. So, and to me, when you can get that peanut butter and jelly together, that's when you got the best sandwich.
Yeah, unless you're allergic to peanuts.
Well, those people don't need to be around anyways.
Oh gosh,
sorry, peanut people. You know it's true. But what do you guys think about the twins? Superman has twins. I never really thought too much about the parentage outside of, you know, obviously the scene in Mallrats here. So I guess that goes out the window.
Well, I think for me, what I'm thinking when I see that he's got twins, and then there's the girl in Smallville that the one twin is kind of attracted to, I'm starting to think, being on the CW, this is eventually going to be about the kids.
Oh yeah.
Like this is going to be, you know, Riverdale with a Kryptonian.
It definitely feels that way, and I like that the show does its basic sort of a little bit of a fake out there. You think the kid with the light hair, which by the way, which parent is he taken after? That kid don't look like he belong in this family at all. The other kid totally
he
does.
Looks suspiciously like Morgan Edge for some reason.
Like, wait a minute, this dude don't belong in that family.
Going back to the Mallrats discussion, maybe there's somebody out behind the woodshed.
Maybe. Where was I going with this? But I like both of them, and I like how, you know, we think the sporty one is going to be the one who did everything, and, you know, he throws the football and breaks a rope and stuff, so you're like, oh, that kid's clearly got some sort of powers or something like that. And then, of course, they deke you out and go, oh, nope, it's the moody kid who plays Injustice on the PlayStation.
And man, all I could think once it was revealed that he was the one with the powers, all I could think was, man, this could go Brightburn real fast with that kid.
I don't think that that's what the show is setting up for, though.
I know, but That's what activated in my mind when I see the moody kid has the power.
What I do like is that he's not portrayed as, like some horrible kid, which is usually what happens in shows like this. So look, he's having some trouble. He's pushing his dad away. Still a big fan of mom. All of these things are very cool and very well written. The next thing that's going to happen on the show, though, end of the year finale, whatever it is that you're going to find out that the other son also has powers. It's just the way it's going to work.
Yeah, I feel like you can't not do that. But you're right. At the same time, too, it's also
power going to be something that doesn't quite make sense. It's not just going to be a direct copy of Superman's powers.
I think it's going to be all the powers that Superman dropped from the John Byrne rewrite.
I like it to, he makes every flower, a basketball. Just no
a little Superman comes out of his hand.
Yes.
No good powers.
That ass thing that they do in Superman 2 where he pulls it off of his costume and throws it at people. That'll be there.
And everybody looks around going like, wait, this is a thing? Has anyone ever talked about this before? We just made some crap up and we're all going along with it. Okay, I guess.
He's constantly just flying backwards around the earth to reset time. They're like, damn it, you did it again. Stop doing that.
I burned the microwave popcorn. Don't worry.
That's their Groundhog Day episode where they just keep going back in time, redoing the thing again and again and again until the universe implodes
progressively
on itself.
Worse. Yeah.
Let me tell you something. That is something that Marvel hasn't done yet. It's probably coming.
Some sort of wild and crazy,
Groundhog Day, but with a superhero.
Hey, it worked for those Happy Death Day movies. Those were both a lot of fun. So
I only saw the first one, but I liked it.
The second one goes a little bit more sci-fi, but it's a heck of a lot of fun, those movies.
And the first one written by a comic book writer.
Do they explain why that school's mascot is a baby?
Not particularly well, but it is just kind of like, why would this be the thing you would try? This not only a baby, B, a creepy baby.
Was it a baby or was it supposed to be a cherub or something?
I think it was more like a baby.
Okay.
It's a baby.
It's the big baby face.
The Cupid doll baby, yeah.
But not only that, every person at the school wears the baby mask with pride. That's their thing.
I love that baby.
Let me just say, if I went to a school that had that mascot, everything I owned would have that mascot.
You're also a weirdo. Kids aren't normally like a Bruce Leslie. They aren't. We'd all like them to be, but they're not all like you.
Yes, please see your weird wizard fascination.
Man, the wizards.
I'd dress up every day as a wizard if it was socially acceptable.
I would be ensconced in robes.
Currently, it's not socially acceptable, and he still wears it an awful lot.
He does it more so than you would want him to, but yet he's going to go into it. So just let him be.
Oh, man.
And I'm sorry.
Too bad I'm not single. That'd make a great...
Adam is dying. Adam, are you okay?
I'm fine. Bruce, it's been Bruce's birthday this week, everybody. So tweet him on the internet. Tell him happy birthday. But Bruce had the most amazing birthday I've ever seen. So good on you, Bruce. You had a pretty good week this week. His wife went and ticked off all the things that he did. And by the way, tell him he got this one thing that I swear to you, not that exact same day I was at the store and saw it, and I go, this giant Funko Pop of a zombie Magneto, and I was like, boy, yes. Oh boy, is that right up Bruce's alley. I looked at the price.
My youngest son got that for me. It's nice and heavy. It's big, man. It's 2 feet tall, 1.5 feet tall.
Yeah, when I looked at that price tag, I was like, I don't know that I love Bruce that much, but okay. Maybe his family does, which is good.
It's awful easy when you know where the 10-year-old's funds come from. It's no sweat on him.
He goes, I think Dad would enjoy this. I'm sure that he would.
Then I got a nice Spider-Ham figure too.
You can't keep a good Bruce down, I always say. But I thought this show was a lot of, I like the kids trying to learn a little bit about him and stuff, and them not, because that was one of the things when the show started. I didn't even know he had kids in this. That's how little I really knew about this program. So when I thought for sure, I'm like, oh, well, these kids will have, powers and stuff right off the bat. But like I said, when you see him throwing the football and stuff and breaking the rope that's holding the tire swing up and everything, I'm like, well, for sure he's got powers. And no, they don't. And it's kind of like they're almost a delayed mutant kind of thing in a weird way.
But also, man, I want to go back and revisit. So I'm supposed to believe that this high school freshman can break ropes with a football?
He's good. That's why. Why do you think that he got
Is that
into
a thing?
Well, if it's a really old rope, maybe, but that's how you make the varsity team as a freshman.
Man, we got all these ropes that nobody can break. We need somebody to go out here and break those ropes.
If you get out of football season, he can be a longshoreman and just kind of snap some ropes as things go along.
Oh man, but if this were in true Superman fashion, if the son who was good at football really had powers, then Superman wouldn't let him play football, because we already heard that conversation in the Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, and that's why I was for sure thinking that was like, I'm like, well, when are we getting that? You can't use your powers, or you got to go a quarter speed or something like that. But they never question how a freshman got on the varsity football team. They just go like, well, he's really good. Like you wouldn't think
kind of question that
a little bit.
Lois and Clark have that conversation,
but after he's gotten it though, like you feel like that conversation would have happened beforehand. But obviously, we got to get some
just
narrative
like a
across.
Selfish parent. You make the team in football and they move you to a basketball state.
I will say that my high school, I want to say junior year, a freshman became the quarterback of our school, and there was no questioning why that was. I mean, within 5 minutes, everybody's like, oh, yeah, he's going to be the quarterback, yeah.
And that kid was Vinny Testaverde.
That's not true at all.
I don't know how to take that, Bruce. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm sitting on the fence on that one.
He's a really good quarterback.
He was also a quarterback in the 80s. So there you are.
I thought maybe you went to one of those K-12 schools, private school.
Mickey man.
No, you can be forgiven for that, because I did grow up in Connecticut. I was just, not one of those kids.
You all right there? What happened?
I dropped some things.
I thought he was just like, the hell with this show.
That was Sean pulling out his hearing aid and storming off.
Wow, I won't be taking any of this.
Why am I getting to make the old jokes? We're like the same age.
We're not the same age, Bruce. We are not the same age.
Give him a couple months. But I liked this kind of, we don't know exactly what he is or where he's from or anything. He looks like the guy from Doom with that outfit coming in. Our big bad that we later find out at the end of the episode has a very suspicious last name.
Yeah, I like that. I don't know really anything about who this guy's going to turn out to be. And I'm not entirely sure what Earth we're on either.
Which I'm totally fine with. I like that I don't know where we are. I don't know anything about these kids. I don't know anything about this version of Luthor. Like, I like that I don't have any idea. I'm just enjoying the story right now.
I will say I have absolutely enjoyed John Cryer as Lex Luthor, so I was kind of hoping maybe he would show up on this show, but I don't know if that'll happen or not.
John Cryer has been Lex Luthor the last couple of years.
Yeah, he's the guy from 2.5 Men, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
that's him. He
also and he's in like Superman 4.
Yeah, it's Lex Luthor's nephew, and now he grew up to be the man.
Very
Uncle
good.
Lex, yeah. That's my favorite crap of the entire thing, and how that car. It's so good.
And he's the best Lex Luthor since Gene Hackman.
Wow, really?
Yeah, but come on. What's the...
I was about to say, how many do you have to choose from?
I'm not counting animated incarnations here.
No, those animated ones were fairly decent.
Yeah, because Clancy Brown you can't beat.
How are you going to screw that up? Now, let me ask you guys this. What does this town represent humanity in any way, shape, or form? Who are these kids? Do kids like you guys got kids in this age bracket, or at least did at one point, and Bruce coming up on it? Is this how kids act these days? Like to this party and all this? Like, because I live in a small town, we never had any crap like this. Or is this just like am I just being an old man here?
I don't know, man. I mean, we had parties in the small town where I lived.
I don't know. Just
okay. So here, let me tell you that the people who wrote the show are clearly not children, or don't have reliable access to kids, because kids do not have parties where they're drinking, and in high school on It just doesn't happen
out of a
like
keg,
that
no
anymore.
less. That's the
It
big
just doesn't
thing.
happen like that anymore. Now, when I was in high school, that was a huge deal and we did it.
Yeah.
But that is not the way that school works anymore. It doesn't, like, you may be over at like somebody's house and their parents, like, you know, like are letting you drink a little, but that's about it. Like, you know, like kids aren't the same. They don't behave the same way that we do.
Yeah,
They
I mean,
just don't.
because when I was a kid, there were lots of like strip mine locations that were just these big barren plains on top of a hill that was wasted. And kids would go up there and get wasted, build a bonfire, bring a keg. But I've never heard of any of that crap going on in the last 10 years,
No.
15 years.
Now,
It also really felt like they were dying to put that party at a beach, but then they remembered it was Kansas.
Right.
Didn't that feel like a beach party?
Sure did,
from
man.
an
Like
80s movie.
Like, oh, you guys really had it in your head that this was going to be a beach, but you're in Kansas.
Now, our love interest here for Jordan Kent, am I nuts or was like he not crazy? Like if I was this kid and I was put in that situation, this girl was there. We're saying all the things that we're saying. Of course, he's going to think that she's like, you know, hitting on him and stuff, right? Am I crazy?
I don't know, man. I never was good at that kind of thing.
I wasn't either, and that's why I'm just going like, dude, she's all about you, man. Why would she come over here, have all these, like, you know, meaningful life conversations and stuff? Never brought up a boyfriend, and this boyfriend who we've never met before comes out of nowhere and starts kicking the crap out of him.
Well, here is my issue with this moment is that I understand that they have to have this sort of conflict because that, you know, it's a TV show. You need that conflict. What I don't understand is that this kid has proven already in this episode that that his mind works like his mom's. And so he's going to see the warning signs and the context clues that this is what he's sort of walking into. And that would have been far more interesting than just setting up a conflict because you need it.
And I'm going to be honest, it kind of surprised me the way that he went in for the kiss and got the kiss and then the trouble erupted, because that's just not how most of these Berlanti shows are written. You know, there's no assumed consent on anything in most of these shows. So I was a little surprised by that too.
Well, at the same time too, it's like, you know, our faces are slowly getting closer and closer together here. If you've got a boyfriend, perhaps you might want to go, whoa, pull back a second, go, hold on now, I've got a boyfriend.
And I'm not going to say how I know this, but I do know that for a fact, a person can stop a kiss before it happens if they're not interested.
Okay. I don't.
I mean, come on. You never like tried to go in for the kiss and got denied?
Oh, no, listen, I've gotten a lot worse than that. So
yeah. So,
but
I was kind of surprised.
But here's the thing. You know. You don't get in there and then just go like it doesn't happen and then she goes, I don't like that. That's no good. This is not what I was in for. It's like you were here the whole time.
You can tell when they come into your personal space that that's not what you want.
Yeah, they turn around and walk the other direction. I think that's how it works for me.
I can get my hand up there super fast to keep them from smooching me.
No, thank you, please. No, thank you. I'm saving myself. Let me ask you guys this, because I think that you guys are in this category a little bit better than I am. But this was my vibe watching this show. Is to me, this was one of the most, and I don't mean this in a bad way. This isn't a slam, but this is one of the most Gen X shows I've ever seen. It feels like it was absolutely written by, you know, someone that is in Gen X for sure. Because
just playing the odds, there's a good chance of that. But I don't know. Did you feel this was a particularly Gen X themed Superman there, Sean? I don't know that I picked up on that.
You know, now that Adam has mentioned it, I'm seeing all of the signs here, but I never thought of it that way. To me, it felt like it was people who were raised on comic books who hate what comic book TV shows have turned into, like episodic TV shows have turned into. And like, you know, like nobody wants to high five the people who made like season 4 of Black Lightning. Like nobody is like, yes, we did it. We nailed it. But like, it feels like they're like, we see you, we know that's bad. We're going to make the show that you actually want. Here's the show.
And I'll tell you the thing that feels very Gen X to me about this is I feel like the people creating this show were angry that all they were given was Lois and Clark, and this is how they're going to correct that situation. So maybe I can see it in that form. But when you say like the most Gen X thing either, I start to run back to the themes that were going on in that Bill and Ted Get Old thing that we watched.
Yes.
And, there is the intergenerational thing. So maybe that'll play out some more. But this seemed to focus a little more on the kids and less on the adults admiring the kids kind of
and
thing.
Something that's going to play very well to audiences that are totally underserved are the people who their politics is small town politics, like you are born and raised in a small town, you're probably not going to wear a mask, like all that stuff. And I'm not going to get too deep into the politic of that, but the fact that they actually bring it up during this show, and it's not looked down on like, you idiot, like that. It's like it's a superhero fan that is used to being like just constantly thrown like you're an idiot, this is the way you should think, like all of that stuff. And there's a little pushback on that.
Well, yeah, I totally missed that.
Yeah. See, the nice part is because the guy that we're talking about, when they have that kind of conversation here and everything, it's like, hey, you turned your back on this town. You left, you went away. You never really came back. You didn't really care about this place. Some of us stayed here and created lives for ourselves. We didn't have to go out to the big city and feel like, we needed to get, one up on the world or something. We didn't feel like we were the ones that needed to conquer the world. We liked staying where we were and, cultivating this town, because if you don't, and that's the thing, a lot of small towns throughout America are slowly, going down and dying out and stuff because all of their residents leave. They go someplace else. They go to a bigger city because that's where they feel that they need to go to. And there are small towns all across the country that are languishing because young people don't go there. Young people don't stay around there and build up a life for themselves and their future families as well. And I like how we don't look at the people as of Smallville as, stupid yokels, which would be the easy out for this show, is to just like, look at us coming in and we're going to bring all of our great city values into here. It's not like that at all. And I like that. It feels like a nice change of pace from what we were kind of used to seeing, to be honest.
Yeah. And I guess we'll get to see, if we watch future episodes, how things play out at the school, if they'll fall into the trope of the small town has to have the bully differently than a big town does, that kind of thing.
Man, I sure hope that's not the case. I hope that it's more Spider-Man, the home series, than Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, another thing that we'll see how they handle the small town, whether they handle it with respect or with stereotypes of a small town, is when the jock son inevitably comes out as gay. Is he going to be like easily accepted by his peers at school? Or are they going to play into small town stereotypes there?
Yeah, and there's so many ways that they can go, and things can be bad if they don't step in the right direction here. But it feels like they're going after this show a little bit different from everybody else. Now, Bruce, you watch more of these on a regular basis. Is this the only CW show that's in the 235 aspect ratio?
I don't know.
With the black bars on top and bottom, I can't remember seeing a CW show that are all looking.
I don't even pay attention. I watch half of them on my phone, so I don't know what's going on there. And I haven't been watching them as much in the past year plus.
It seemed bizarre to me. I was just like, this. I mean, I liked it, but it was because it gave a more grandiosity to the whole thing and whatnot. But it seemed often quite different for a CW show.
The only time I notice the aspect ratio is if it's like a square, like the first episode of WandaVision. That's about it.
Bruce, are you trying to tell me that you haven't watched every episode of the third season of Riverdale?
Sadly, I've not gotten around to it. It's on my to-do list.
Well, we got an email here about Superman, so let's go ahead and open up the old mailbag here.
Bale's here.
And this one comes to us from King Solomon's Frog. He writes, "Hey guys, I graduated high school in 1995, and I definitely saw Soul Asylum in concert around that time. But Tyler is Hoechlin, how do we pronounce his last name?
Hoechlin.
Tyler Hoechlin was born in 1987, 10 years after me. And assuming his Superman is approximately the same age as him, then the only Soul Asylum show that he would have been a teenager to see in Kansas would have been on July 29th, 2006.
Oh, wow. I love people that do the research.
So my question is, were teenagers still going to see Soul Asylum in 2006? Probably
in
more.
Kansas, they were.
Probably more like My Chemical Romance or Panic at the Disco. If this was a better show, the rule of cool would apply that I wouldn't care and I'd be streaming Somebody to Shove or Runaway Train right now instead of sending this email. It wasn't terrible, but my mind did wander from time to time. And who am I kidding? I'm still going to listen to Soul Asylum. Yours, King Solomon's Frog.
Oh, we got to remember, this is not our Earth. This isn't Earth Prime. This is some other Earth where Soul Asylum's career followed a different trajectory that revolved around Kansas.
Soul Asylum was way bigger than you thought. All I remember was Runaway Train, just because it was the hit that it was and it had the video on MTV and whatnot. And supposedly some kids got returned and stuff to their families after that video. That's what at least the urban legend was.
Okay, I totally didn't remember the video. I thought you were going to say some kids like stood on train tracks and got hit.
No,
but now I kind of
because they all in that video, all they showed was all the runaways and stuff, and a lot of or at least a handful of those runaways got back in touch with their family. To me, it was the craziest thought though, because I lived in a tiny town that like you had to have satellite to have MTV, so I was just like. These kids were like, I was watching on MTV and there was my picture on this music video, and I'm just like, you got MTV? Or you're a runaway and you have MTV? How does that work? It just
that's why they ran away. Their parents didn't have MTV.
That ain't good enough.
Yeah, Ugly Kid Joe doesn't have anything like that to brag about.
That's true. So Soul Asylum, no big fans in 2006. I don't think. Like I said, I only remember the one song, and I'm older than Tyler Hoechlin is, but I think they're supposed to be. You guys tell me what you think, but I think they're supposed to be about 40 in this. You think?
Well,
yeah. I mean, that's the way they're playing it, really.
I mean, because
he's a bit older than he actually is in the show.
I feel like Clark Kent had his act together enough that he wasn't like getting Lois in the family way while he was still in high school. So I'm going to assume he's at least 22 when he meets Lois, and these kids are what, 15, 16?
Yeah, they're like 15, I think.
Yeah, so I'm going to say he's got to be minimum 37.
And they even, they have that moment on the show where they're like, you have not aged at all since high school. They're talking about that in the kitchen, which is telling you that, like you don't make those conversations when you're in your early 30s. It's really late 30s, 40s when that starts happening.
I remember when I was 19, saw my best friend said, man, you haven't aged at all since high school.
You haven't aged at all since the 20 minutes ago I saw you. Well, before we get to our final rating here and everything, we have to ask ourselves one very important question is how does this television show relate back 1-to-1 with Sylvester Stallone?
Thank you, Adam. I have a prepared statement. Did you know there was a TV show called True Justice that starred Steven Seagal? It ran 27 episodes. He played Elijah Kane, an ex-Special Forces member. Oh, my God, they're all the same. An ex-Special Forces member and martial arts expert who is currently part of an undercover law enforcement unit that sometimes uses brutal tactics to get the job done. Does anyone believe Steven Seagal in an undercover role? Like, I see him with a dumb Fu Manchu mustache. Like, no, I'm Mexican right now.
They'll never believe that it's not me.
Get out of here. It ran from 2010 to 2012, and there wasn't a person in the cast you would recognize before or after this fat turkey got taken down, like someone who got in between. Oh, man, I'm trying to bunch in too much there. Sorry, guys. I bring up this show. I bring up this disgrace to television history because James Bamford playing Darko Thug number 9 on True Justice is also one of the directors this season on Superman and Lois.
Wow.
Yes. And when some sour, sad sack of a human being tells you that dreams don't come true, tell them about James Bamford, because just 9 years ago, he was pretending to get the hell beat out of him on screen by one of the few celebrities white trash looks down on, Steven Seagal. And now he's directing Superman. That's a huge leap. He's had a very big 9 years. And way back in 2000, James Bamford was Mickey Rourke's stunt double in a movie called Get Carter, starring a man people have been underestimating since 1976, Sylvester Stallone. And we've spoken about Get Carter so many times on this show that if you've listened to more than 2 episodes of HMP, you know it comes up all the time. So we're not going to talk about it this week. Instead, I'm going to talk about the fact that Stallone has been getting crushed in the court of public opinion for a very long time now. And I think it's time to look at the fact that he's basically the last man standing. He wanted to play Superman in the Christopher Reeves version of the movie, but Marlon Brando said absolutely not. He's been nominated for a Razzie 15 times. Woo! He was voted worst actor of the 90s. Everyone could do a terrible impersonation of him. And even the movie Airplane was making jokes about the fact that he was too old to play Rocky in the early 80s. Yet, here he is, persevering, being a giant movie star for 50 years. And you know what? The best thing that ever happened to him was not getting that role in Superman, because it would have changed the course of his lengthy and crazy career, a career that's crossed paths with James Bamford. And there you have it, HMPers and Dingalingers. This week's Stallone Connection is director James Bamford. Adam and Bruce, this is the 345th episode of this bit, and still no word from Sylvester Stallone.
Quite the come-up story. I like to hear that. Well, over here at Hero Movie Podcast, we have our own patented Robin rating system. If you'd like to check that out, head on down to our subreddit, man, reddit.com/r/Hero Movie Podcast. It's right there at the top. And why don't you join that group while you're at it there? Bruce, where does the pilot episode of Superman and Lois fall in the Robin rating system for you?
You know, I tried to stay pretty positive talking about it because I know a lot of people are going to like this. There's a huge audience for the CW shows. That's why there's so many of them. There's a lot of people that, you know, go all the way back to their childhood and have a fondness for Superman. It's cast well, you know, it's doing some interesting things, but I was bored. I mean, I was really bored watching this. Failed the phone test for me. I'm so happy that the people who enjoy it, but for me, it's going to be a Stephanie Brown.
Wow.
Sean, what about you?
You know, I like it. I think it's a high Damian Wayne for me. Bruce, I can completely commiserate with you on a thing that people seem to like, and you have to pretend to like it. I'm definitely there, but not this. This is a very good. This is a very good opener to the show, and it makes me want to watch more of it. You know, like on my own free time with nothing to gain from watching it. It's one of those shows, I know. So I'm probably going to check it out, at least the next episode, which I already have. And so I'm excited to see it. I'm probably not going to watch it today, but maybe tomorrow, maybe. We'll see. So for me, it's a Damian Wayne. Hi, Damian Wayne.
Yeah, I think I fall on just the other side of that. Mine's kind of a lower Tim Drake, but I enjoyed this, and I'm not the biggest of Superman fans. I like Superman enough, but obviously he's a way overpowered character and all that kind of stuff, and it's usually written not so hot. But I like the conceit of this. I like changing things up from a perspective that we, at least, or I'll put it to you this way, at least that I haven't seen before. So I kind of like that, and I'm intrigued enough to see where this show goes, because with the Luthor kind of tease at the end and stuff, that it was intriguing. So yeah, we might give it a little bit of an extra shot. So there you go. Not too shabby, everybody. We've covered yet another week of fantastic superhero-related stuff. And next week, we're going to continue on with that, because next week we're talking about, and I don't know how we haven't covered more of this show, these 7 years of this podcast, but we are covering some more Batman the Animated Series. It's been a minute, but we're going to be covering the first, we're not first two, but the 2-episode arc in the first season of Batman the Animated Series entitled Two-Face. So we're going to see a little bit of Two-Face origins and stuff, Batman the Animated Series style. So join us back here again next week for that. Bruce, in the meantime, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
I would love for people to check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/C/Bruce Leslie. My most recent video is all about when Jack Kirby came back to DC in 1969, 1970. And it's all about the Fourth World, the New Gods, Mr. Miracle, and the Forever People.
Very good. Sean, what else?
We have a podcast called 30 Questions WandaVision. You should check that out, especially if you watch the show. And we have a good time there. Do that.
And we're going to be doing more of that as they go on, because right after WandaVision, why don't you keep, stay subscribed to that channel, because we're doing Falcon and the Winter Soldier right after that. A week off of that, and then week right back on. Marvel keeping these shelves stocked up with superhero goodness. So we'll be doing all of that very, very soon. And a big thank you again to everyone supporting the show over at patreon.com/HMP. We appreciate all of you fine folks. And we will see you guys next week when we cover Batman, the animated series. Two-parter on Two-Face. For Sweet Sean Kovacs from the internet, Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Fortress. Stay super, everybody.
I'm Marty and Evie.
Call you up in the middle of the night, like a firefly without a light. You were there like a blowtorch burning. I was a key that could use a little turning. So tired that I couldn't even sleep. So many secrets I couldn't keep. I promised myself I wouldn't weep. One more promise I couldn't keep. It seems no one can help me now. I'm in too deep. There's no way out. This time I have really led myself astray. Runaway train, never going back. Wrong way on a one-way track. Seems like I should be getting somewhere. Somehow I'm neither here nor there. Can you help me remember how to smile? Make it somehow all seem worthwhile. How on earth did I get so jaded? Life's mystery seems so faded. I can go where no one else can go. I know what no one else knows. Here I am, just a drowning in the rain, with a ticket for a runaway train, and everything seems cut and dry. Day and night, earth and sky. Somehow I just don't believe it. Runaway train, never going back. Wrong way on a one-way track. Seems like I should be getting somewhere. Somehow I'm neither here nor there. Bought a ticket for a runaway train, like a madman laughing at the rain. A little out of touch, little insane. It's just easier than